Popo think it's water pimping, but this motherfucking Grey Goose, baby.
It's time. Your triple bogey, long shot parlay, full send degenerates at a place to call home. Look no further. It's the D-Gen Podcast.
What is good, everybody? Welcome back to the D-Gen Podcast. I am your host, Wayne Wagyu, alongside my fellow co-host, Mikey Rom. Mikey, I'm in New Hampshire right now. A little different. Current situation, cold. I'm at the Best Western. They do have a pretty good continental breakfast. I grabbed myself coffee.
No stale bagel?
What's that?
No stale bagel?
No stale bagel for me. They did have a couple of puff pastries and some other stuff, but coffee for me today. That's it.
Nice. Yeah, I always have to go with the stale bagel when I'm getting a continental breakfast. It just hits a little bit different when I'm in a hotel.
You gotta get your money's worth these days, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
What's new with you? Anything?
Nothing, man. Just working. It's cold outside. I'm happy to say I took my dog out this morning. My nipples are a little bit hard. It's definitely football season. I'm waiting for the leaves to start to fall now. It's great. It's sweatshirt weather. It's big guy weather. It's the best time of the year. Football's back, even though we got absolutely destroyed on the board last weekend. Unbelievable. Bad beats for me. But yeah, it's football weather, and we're in the season now, and everything's gravy.
You know what? They don't call them comebacks for nothing. I think this week is our comeback.
Yeah.
I'm actually in New Hampshire for anybody that's curious. So perfect time to place a legal sports bet. Hop on the DraftKings app and get after that. We will be covering DraftKings today. Again, everybody, FYI, going through our favorite lineups for the DraftKings Sunday slate $1 Million Maker. But of course, what you guys are all here for, most importantly, the picks, because this week, like I said, we're bouncing back.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, though, let's not forget this podcast is presented to you by Sunday Swagger. Go to sundayswagger.com, Mike. Use that promo code DGen15, and guess what? You're going to get 15% off your entire purchase. And also, while we're at it, let's not forget our friends over at Bully Boy Distillery in Boston, 44 Cedric. Mikey, have you had Bully Boy yet? Because I personally am becoming a fan favorite of it. I love it. And in case you haven't, now's the perfect time because they got all their fall cocktails out at the cocktail garden. They're moving the garden inside, but it's appropriate to get a little chilly out. But everything to make you feel in the mood for fall and get you ready for a good Sunday. Apple picking, coming home, watching the games, doing your thing. It's just right.
Yeah, I could have used a hard Bully Boy last weekend, watching some of these games in the later in the day. Man, that witching hour, I could have used multiple Boy refreshments. So I'm gonna have to go down and pick some up this weekend and kind of drink the pain away that's inevitably coming. So,
well, we'll hop into it now. No further ado. We have the 1:00 games starting us off. The Bucks heading to the Saints. 64% of the money is on the Bucks right now. Bucks favored at -2.5. Sitting at -140 on the money line. Saints plus 120. 44 is the total. Mike, the Bucks have a lot of wide receivers that are going to be potentially out this week. Mike Evans headlining that group. Is there a play in this game that you're confident about, or are you feeling this all together?
No. I love the Saints. Saints 2.5. I think the Bucks played a bad Cowboys team. Obviously missed on that last week. A Cowboys team without Dak for half the game. They didn't really move the ball that great, honestly. The Bucks did. They had those few drives that were good, but overall, effectively, they weren't great. The Saints weren't great last week either against the Falcons. Obviously, that was a surprise, but they did end up pulling out the W. I think I'm rolling with the Saints at home. Wish it was 3, but I'll roll with the 2.5.
Yeah, I'm taking the Saints plus 2.5 also, only because of the wide receiver situation. Clearly, even if they play, they're not going to be 100%. Even Julio Jones now, who I thought was going to be a good DFS pickup this week, is questionable. Russell Gage also has the questionable tag on him. So at that point, you're really putting Tom Brady in a position to overperform after really not having any preseason because he was busy out getting Botox and fixing Giselle shit, which clearly fell through. I mean, so yeah, I'm going Saints plus 2.5. It's not my favorite play on the board, but if I had to pick, that's where I'm going.
Yep.
Moving on to the hometown favorite, the Patriots visiting the Steelers, sitting at minus 2.5, minus 135 in the money line. Steelers plus 115 and a total of 40.5. Mike, the Steelers got 70% of the money now, which is scaring me off my initial play of the Steelers plus 2.5. But sometimes you gotta say fuck the casinos,
Yep.
fuck everything, and just go with your gut. This is a gut play. I saw what I saw last week with the Patriots going to Miami and really just shitting their pants. And the Steelers absolutely throat punching the Cincinnati Bengals. Mike Tomlin clearly is on a warpath this year because he is being doubted, to say the least, based off the quarterback situation. And I am honestly thinking the Steelers team can maybe win the division now. I know it's a week one overreaction if you ever heard one. But
Yeah, that's what we do here, though.
But I honestly think, based off of their defense alone, offense, Mitchell Trubisky, huge question mark. But in this game particularly, plus 2.5, I'm smashing this.
Okay. Yeah, I like that play. Yeah, if I was going to bet the line, I'd probably roll with the Steelers just because of how bad the Patriots looked. But I'm actually going to kind of go against the grain here. I'm going with the over 40.5. Whenever I see an over that low, it always at least piqued my interest. So I definitely wanted to look into it. Listen, both these teams stink. I know the Steelers had a good week last week, but it took them 5 turnovers and like 2 missed field goals in overtime to beat the Bengals after turning them over 5 times. So I don't know how to feel about them. The Patriots clearly stink, but I think we're going to get some defensive touchdowns this week. I think we're going to get a pick 6 or 2, and that always helps with the over. Maybe a little fumble recovery. I think I'm smelling a little punt return touchdown this game. I feel like it's that kind of day. And if the offense is going to just be like bad to like kind of bad, I think we'll get over. I think this is like 21-20, just sneaking over. But I do like the over here.
Yeah, I mean, the terrible towel is definitely going to be out after a week one upset of Cincinnati. So you know that place is going to be absolutely cranking. No longer Heinz Field, by the way, which is
weird.
Which is very weird. And I don't know how I feel about it. Honestly, I don't even care what the new name is. Just the fact that it's not Heinz Field kind of takes the wind out of my sails. But moving on to our third 1 o'clock game, Mikey, we got Miami visiting the Ravens. Miami had a nice outing last weekend against the Patriots. Got their victory. Ravens smashed the Jets. Miami sitting at plus 3.5 as the road team, plus 155 in the money line. Ravens minus 180 in the total, which I love personally. 44.5.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Yeah, I think we're going to agree. I'm going over on this one. Yeah, I think the Finns, they played the Patriots, so you can never fucking tell now because the Patriots are just like bottom of the barrel this year in the league. So they look good. They put some points up. I think week 2 of the Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill connection is going to connect for a touchdown or 2 this week. I don't love the Ravens corners on the outside, at least their speed. I think, they're going to be kind of vulnerable to a little bit of the over the top. If Tua can fucking get it there, we'll see. But I like them scoring some points this week. Same thing, I like the Ravens scoring points this week. The Dolphins defense is nothing to write home about. I mean, they obviously perform well against the Pats, but they're definitely susceptible to give up some points. And I think the Ravens really kind of made a statement last week, kind of blowing out the Jets, saying like, hey, we're here. We're going to have a good year. Doesn't matter that Lamar Jackson didn't sign his long-term deal. Like, let's just have a good year and go from there. And for that reason, I like the over here. I think 44.5 is a little too low. This smells like 31-27 to me. So I'm going over.
Yeah, I like the over as well. I want to go Ravens minus 3.5, but to be honest, this is a trap spot in my opinion. I feel like this game is going to come down to the wire, and like you said, I think there's going to be points. I think personally, people are overlooking the fact that Lamar Jackson, as much as he's not a good passer, and you know how I feel about him, I fucking hate the guy. I personally think that last week he didn't throw the ball particularly well, and they still came out on top as big as they did. He did have 2 bombs, obviously, but overall passer rating, all that stuff, he didn't throw it great. I think he bounces back. I think he throws a little bit better. I also think Miami is going to get exposed. Their defense this week, I think like you said, they played the Patriots last week. And nonetheless, the Patriots moved the ball at certain points during the game.
Yeah.
And they had the opportunity to actually come back and make that more of a closer game than it was. So with that being said, and the Miami offense also, being what they are with Tyreek Hill, like you said, I think he's going to have a big week. I think that 44.5 is super juicy, and I'll definitely be playing it. Moving on, Panthers visiting the Giants. This is the D-Gen special if I ever saw one. +2. The Panthers are sitting at +105 on the money line. 43 is the total. Giants -25. Mikey, I feel like this is like you're licking your chops. Fuck
the Panthers. Listen, every kicker missed their kicks last week except the fucking Browns kicker who hit like a 58-yarder to win the game against my lock. The Panthers, fuck the Panthers. They're on the hate list for the whole year now. Giants -2, lock. Lock it up. Throw away the key. Saquon Barkley, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's back. He looks healthy. He looks good. Give me the Giants. Fuck the Panthers. Fuck Baker Mayfield. Fuck their dumb coach. Fuck them. Giants -2.
You know what's crazy? The Panthers are actually getting 53% of the money. They're actually getting more money right now on the spread.
Yeah,
than the
this is a play. This is a hard play, a hard lock for me.
Yeah, lock this up. Ding, 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 ding.
Yes, thank you. Ding, ding, ding. Lock this one up for the boy.
Yeah, we need to invest in a cowbell or something. Yeah, Giants -2.5. This is an absolute slam. First home game of the year. Is it first game home of the year? Did they play Titans at home or on the road last week?
Nah, I think on the road.
Either way, they're home. Saquon's gonna absolutely take a dump. Saquon is back, baby. Saquon is back. And yeah, I'm just not a believer in Baker. I mean, side note, Kadarius Toney, who I think is going to be a pretty solid receiver in the NFL, despite having, Danny Dimes or Danny Nichols or whatever as his quarterback. He didn't have a reception last week at all. He ran the ball, but he didn't have a reception. And personally, I think that, he's going to break out this game at least a little bit, enough where -2.5 happens. Next game, Colts visiting the Jags, -3. The Colts are sitting -170 on the money line, +145. The Jags are 45.5 as the total. Mike, the Colts get back their stud middle linebacker, Shaquille Leonard. Last week, you saw what happened. I locked in Houston, right?
I know.
It smashed. It didn't hit. It smashed. And you know what? This week I'm back in the Colts wagon. That Shaquille Leonard thing for me was a huge reason why I faded the Colts. He's a huge presence in the middle of the field, the green dot, if you will. And -3, as much as Colts are getting 72% on the money line, I think that the Jags are the Jags, and as much as they did improve and they did have a decent week last week, I took Jags money line. They almost hit. I think the Colts is a good rebound spot, and I take the Colts -3 today.
Yeah, I'm with the Colts too, -3. A bit of a sucker play. We might all get burned in the end here, but yeah, the Jags are dead to me as well after last week. They were winning the whole game, playing really well, and they ended up finding a way to Jags blow it in the end. And for that reason, since it's -3, it's close enough where it's in that blow it at the end territory, even if they're winning most of the game or it's close. For that reason, yeah, I'm rolling with the Colts. Yeah, Leonard coming back is huge for them, no question about it. He was sorely missed. You could just tell. Last week. So Colts -3. We might all be wrong, and Vegas might know, but who knows? I'm rolling with you. Colts -3.
All right, moving on now. Jets visiting the Browns. Also another D-Gen special here. Jets sitting at +6.5, +230 in the money line. 39 is the over. Browns -275 money line. Mikey, 75% of the money sitting on the Browns right now. Where are we going?
Yeah, I'm going with the Jets. This one makes no sense to me. The Browns, okay, they beat the Panthers last week. Yes, they beat the Panthers. It took a 58-yarder in the last second of the game to beat them, and they're clearly the more talented team. The Panthers last week was my play, my mortal lock, what have you, just solely based on Baker. There was never a thought in my brain that they were a better team, and the Browns barely squeaked by. They still have Jacoby Brissett rolling out there. Not great. I'm rolling with Waka Flocka to cover the points this week. I mean, the Jets, as bad as they looked last week against the Ravens are a good team. And the Browns are a bad team. And the Jets are a bad team. And for that reason, 6.5 is too much. I'm rolling with the Jets this week.
Honestly, I'm fading both, and I'm going total. Just like last week, the Texans were my lock of the week, smash spot versus the Colts. This is my lock of the week, over 39. And I'm not just cherry picking because it's the lowest total on the board. I honestly think the Browns, between Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, I think they absolutely destroy the Jets, who have a horrible run defense. And quite frankly, the Jets, I think, put up points too. I think that as good as the pass rush is, particularly for the Browns, I think that they get it done. They can put up 10 to 14 points easily, and Browns, honestly, smash spot for them. I think the Browns, with the two-headed monster in the backfield, and possibly Kobe Brissett having a decent game against a very bad defense,
Yeah.
I think that they put up points, and I think this 39 total is just asking for you to put the house on it. Moving on, last game of the 1 o'clock slate, Commanders visiting the Lions. Commanders plus 1.5, Dogs plus 100 on the money line. 48.5 is the total. Line sitting at minus 120. Mike, I'll let you stab at this one first. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Hard Knocks thing again. I think I'm going to go Lions here again. I thought they showed some resilience and played pretty well last week. Obviously, they let up a ton of fucking points, the highest point total of the week for them combined. But they also scored a ton of points, right? So, yeah, I like the Lions this week. The Commanders, I don't think they have a high-powered offense. They played okay last week. Again, they played the Jags, so who knows? But I don't see them kind of keeping up with the Lions. This smells like 45 to 38. So a really, really high total. I think this, as much as it doesn't make sense, has a chance to be the highest point total of the week for the slate. I like the Lions. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like DeAndre Swift. It pains me to say it. I like Jared Goff throwing the rock to them. I think they're going to be a good offense this year. Defense, they're going to be bad, so they're going to lose a lot of games still. But I like them in this spot.
Honestly, I like the Lions so much that I think about teasing them up to minus 2.5 and making it a field goal game. I think that this is also a smash spot. I'm not going to lock it up entirely, but if I had my second strongest play on the board, this one would be it for me. I'm buying the Lions here, big time. I really am. I think I'm buying them all season long, to be honest. I don't think they'll ever really be a good team per se this season, but I think they'll beat the bad teams they're supposed to beat. And for that reason, minus 1.5, I'm taking it. Moving on to the 4 o'clock games or 4:30 games, wherever you are, whenever you get them. Falcons visiting the Rams. Falcons sitting at plus 10, plus 370 on the money line. Minus 460, the Rams are money line. 46.5 is the total, Mikey. I think the Falcons are getting a lot of love here after really overperforming last week. They played a very average / overrated defense in the Saints. They don't have the same sort of defense that the Rams have. And, as much as plus 10 is still a lot of points to be laying, I think that it's very realistic. And honestly, I think it happens easily. They don't have the defense to cover, never mind Cooper Kupp, but Darrell Henderson, who had an amazing game last week, Higbee, Allen Robinson, just a lot of weapons. And on top of that, look at the defense. Ram defense, like you said in one of the early games, there's going to be a pick six. There's going to be something here where they pick up huge points, the defense. So for that, I'm taking the Rams minus 10.
Yeah, I like that play. If I was going to pick a side, I'd pick them. You're 100% right. The Falcons, it makes no sense why they're getting so much love. Yes, they played well last week, but the Falcons are always due for that one, out of the box, okay, we're going to come and, actually play this week games of the year. And I think they burned that in week 1, stupidly for them. And maybe not so stupidly for bettors because, okay, we got that one out of the way. But I'm actually rolling with the under here, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
46.5, kind of middle of the road over-under line. I don't think the Falcons are going to score a touchdown, straight up. I think they might get 3 field goals, but that's it. I love this Rams D. I think they're going to be out to make a statement after last week. I think Jalen Ramsey is going to have a good game. Obviously, the pass rush is what the pass rush is. We all know. I think the Falcons are in for a really long day. And I think they're not going to score enough points for how good the offense is going to perform for the Rams. I think it's going to be maybe 31-10, and that's good enough for me to hit the under. So, for that, I'm going with the under. I really don't think the Falcons got a fucking shot this week to score any points.
And then think about this, too, before we move on to the next game, for anybody that's listening right now, is essentially the Rams started off with the worst first. They played the best team, in my opinion, in the whole NFL, in the Bills, week 1. They did not do well. The step down in competition from the Bills to the Falcons, and they're probably on a fuck you tour right now.
Yeah.
Being beat prime time first game of the season after winning the Super Bowl. I'm telling you, as much as they don't have any revenge technically against the Falcons, I still believe this is a fuck you revenge spot for the whole entire NFL to say, look, it was still relevant last week. Yeah, we got our teeth punched in, but we had to make a statement. Killing the spread, -10.
Okay.
Book it.
Love it.
Seahawks going to San Francisco, seeing Trey Lance and the 49ers. Seahawks +9, +320 in the money line, -390 the 49ers are. 40.5 is a total. Mikey, is this another situation where the Seahawks are getting too much love, or do you think it's, or do you think this is another smash play?
Listen, this is one of my moral locks for the week, just because it makes absolutely no sense at all. I'm going Niners -9. I cannot understand this line at all. The 49ers played badly last week against the Bears. It was also in a fucking monsoon, which is not going to happen all the time. The 49ers are a good team. And the Seahawks, on the flip side, I don't know if you watched that game, but that was ref fucking city. It was, the Broncos got stuffed in the red zone twice. Like, it was just a crazy game to watch. And, Broncos country did not ride last weekend very clearly. They lost the wheel on their wagon on the way, and they were in a ditch. I think the 49ers absolutely destroyed the Seahawks. The Seahawks are the worst team in the NFL still. I don't care what happens last week. I don't care about Geno Smith having a good week. Good for him that he had a good week. I'm happy for him. He seems like a nice enough guy. He said, they wrote me off, but I didn't write back. They're going to be writing back this week. He's going to be writing back this week. He's going to write a short story, potentially a novel. I think the 49ers blow their fucking socks off this week. So 49ers -9 is a lock for me.
Yeah, and I think people shouldn't neglect the fact that last week when they beat the Broncos, it was the Clete Blakeman game. And the ref angle, a.k.a. the wrangle, is totally a real thing. And if you're not familiar with it, get familiar, because Clete Blakeman is religiously favoring the dog, winning, having the dog win, covering the spread, you name it, every single time basically that he refs. If you can get that information ahead of time that he's reffing, then that's very valuable information. So for that reason, 49ers -9 this week is a layup in my opinion. And I think the Seahawks have a huge regression spot here. And that's definitely the pick. Moving on, Bengals -7, -315 on the money line, visiting the Cowboys +260 on the money line. 42 is a total. Mike, this could be the bloodbath of the year, maybe even the century. This is going to get really messy really fast, in my opinion. Do I need to say more?
No, you don't.
-7.
Yeah, I wish I want to try to find it at 6.5 because 7 always scares me. If it moves to 7.5, I'd probably stay away just because I don't like 7.5s. But yeah, the Bengals are the play here. The Cowboys don't have a quarterback. Their offense looked anemic even with him in the first half. Their defense didn't look great. And the Bengals, think about this. The Bengals almost won a game. And it took 2 missed field goals in overtime. And it missed a missed extra point in the end of regulation. So they actually won the game, in my opinion, last week. After turning the ball over 5 times. 5 turnovers. 4 picks and a fumble by your boy Joey Beanstalk. Not a great day for him. I think he bounces back. I think he's a competitor. He's going to be a good quarterback in this league for a long time. I think he doesn't throw any picks this week. He throws 4 touchdowns. listen, this is a smash play for me. Bengals -7. I know it's probably very, very square, and Vegas is licking their lips. Maybe they know something we don't again, but I'm not smart, so I'm rolling with the Bengals -7.
I think you're a very intelligent individual, which is why I'm on it as well.
Okay.
-7. Even though, tidbit, Bengals getting 83% of the money right now, which is also very, very scary.
That's not good.
But you know what? I don't give a fuck. I'm still fucking betting it. So that's that. And to be honest, I think Joe Mixon is absolutely in a smash spot as well. I mean, you think of a guy that in Joe Burrow that had a rough week last week, threw 4 picks. What's the best way to give him more time, get him in rhythm, is by getting the running game going. I think they get the running game going, and I think it sets him up for a huge day. Moving on, Texans last week, big cover, got the tie in overtime, which is as ugly as it gets. They need to figure out another way to fix that. But sitting at +10, +390 the money line, visiting the Denver Broncos in Mile High Stadium. John Elway and his gross fucking wooden teeth smile.
His face.
Broncos -490 on the money line, 45 is the total. Mike, do the Broncos have a bounce back, or is another smash spot for the Texans?
So I think the Broncos do bounce back and win. I don't like this game. I'm gonna say it on the board this week. This is the game I'm gonna probably stay away from. I don't like it. It doesn't smell good to me. It doesn't taste good to me. It doesn't sound good to me. I don't know what to think after Broncos country. I feel for you guys. I really thought Broncos country was going to come out of the gate riding, and they didn't. I'm just going to go under. I don't know. I don't know in this game. I'm just going to go under 45. I don't think this is going to be a very exciting game to watch. You know, maybe the Broncos get going and score some points. I don't think the Texans do. I think this is a big energy dump spot for them after having a good week last week. I don't know, 17-14 game. I don't know. I'm going to go under.
Honestly, I was feeling the same way about the Texans until I looked online and I said, you know what? Davis Mills really is that guy.
Okay.
Looking through DraftKings, he's getting totally disrespected. I'm telling you what, you give this guy more weapons, and he's a top 10 quarterback in the league, in my opinion. I think
hold on. Let's slow down.
I think the neck has the ability to be that good. Has the ability. I'm not saying he currently is. I'm saying he has the ability. And I think he's being undersold here. I think that +10 is just totally disrespectful. I think this week, especially after showing what they could do against a pretty good Colts team, even though they didn't have Shaquille Leonard, still a pretty good team. He showed up. He really protected the ball. And to be honest, the Broncos, for as much as they laid an egg last week, I don't see them covering the spread. Do they win the game? Absolutely. Do they cover the spread? No. Taking the Texans +10.
Okay, I like
it. Yeah. I mean, last week they were the smash spot. Not smash from this week, but I like the line.
Okay.
Moving on. Cardinals visiting the Raiders. Cardinals +5, +195 in the money line. Raiders sitting at -230, 51.5 is the total. And I'll tell you what, Mike, this is going to be like sit at the casino and just pulling the lever. It's just going to be jackpot after jackpot after jackpot. It's going to be the highest scoring game, in my opinion, on the slate, which clearly Vegas and the rest of the population think, because 75% of the money is on the over. Where are you going with this game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be high scoring. I'm actually going to go with the spread here. I like the Raiders here. Listen, I watched that Cardinals game last week. I had Cardinals 6.5 against the Chiefs. I thought the Chiefs were going to have struggle against them. They did not. They blew them out. Kyler Murray looked terrible. I don't know if you saw some clicks on TikTok or YouTube, wherever you consume your social media. He was just missing easy reads. He was just making wrong decisions. I think the Cardinals probably should have kept that line in his contract about the film study because he was playing too much Fortnite, not watching film. I think the Cardinals are going to struggle this year. I don't know it's overreaction the first week, and we don't want to go too crazy, but we're the DGen podcast. We overreact. We're the average show, so I'm overreacting hard here. I don't think the Raiders played bad last week. I think they just weren't ready off the rip. I don't think they were ready. I think they came out really flat, and I think that they're going to perform better this week. I think Josh McDaniels is going to have his guys more ready to go this week. First game for him as a head coach again at his second stint. And I think he probably wasn't ready either and was a little bit nervous, but I think that they're going to bounce back this week, and I think they win.
All right. I'm going to take you through a little diagram of teams here, right? And stay with me. It's not going to be too complicated. It's not going to be too complicated, I promise, all right?
It's going to be. But
we only have 1 week's worth of games underneath that belt. But the Chiefs played the Cardinals last week, absolutely smashed them, right? This week, the Chiefs played the Chargers. Chargers should have and would have won that game if it wasn't for that pick six at the end of the game. Let's be honest, right? 99 yards to the house. Last week, the Chargers played the Raiders. The Raiders kept that game very close. They were always in it the entire game. And for that reason, I'm saying connect the dots, right? Raiders versus the Cardinals, -5. Taking my preseason Super Bowl favorite at plus 4,000 to cover the spread here. And I'm telling you what, I love the Raiders this week.
That was the soundest math I've ever seen in my life. That was perfect.
Someone's got to do it, I'm not Albert Einstein, but I am a Wayne Wagyu. So, moving on to the Sunday night game, Bears +10 visiting the Packers. Packers -450, Bears +360, 41.5 is the total. Does Aaron Rodgers have more than he can bite? Is Aaron Rodgers biting off more than he can chew this week?
Yes.
Or do you think he covers? Because he says he owns the Bears. This might be the week he doesn't own them.
Aaron, the only thing Aaron Rodgers owns right now with his receiving core is like a dirt patch out behind the stadium. Listen, there's a lock for me. Bears +10. They played a monsoon last week and got it done. They didn't look great. They still beat the 49ers, who admittedly played really bad, but they showed some grit. They showed some determination. Justin Fields didn't look great, but who's going to look great in a monsoon? Like Trey Lance didn't either. Thank God for the Vikings last week, or I'd be homeless. Let's leave it at that. Couldn't have been more right about the Vikings last week. The Packers stink. I'm just going to say it. I'm sorry. I know it's tough to hear for the Packers fans out there and the Aaron Rodgers fans and everyone. Oh, Aaron Rodgers the MVP. He's not Tom Brady. He ain't dragging a team with no talent to the playoffs. The Packers are bad. I'm sorry to say that they're bad. That being said, they'll win this game, but they're not going to cover +10. That's just too much. It's too much for them to cover this week.
Yeah, the Bears, 61% of the money is on them, and I'm going to be 62%, Mikey, because +10 is too much in this game. I know they're on the road, but to be honest, like you said, the wide receiving core is the biggest question mark in this game for the Packers, and I don't think they figure it out just by week 2. I think it's going to take more time for Aaron Rodgers to figure it out with the guys. Give me the Bears +10.
Yeah.
Moving on to Monday Night Football. We have a doubleheader Monday night game here, which is quite the treat. Titans visiting the Bills. Titans sitting at +10, +370 the money line. Bills -460. 47.5 is the total, Mike. And I'll tell you what, I didn't want to take the Bills this week because I feel like it's a really good regression spot. They're playing a not so good Titans team, coming off a high of stomping out the Rams last week. And then I think to myself, man, they are the best team in the league.
Yeah.
And they're gonna roll here. -10. I just feel like even though 75% of the money is on the Bills, the Titans do have Derrick Henry. I think that he runs the ball fairly well in this game. But aside from that, the Bills just have too much offense. I'm taking the Bills -10.
Yeah, and I'm not going to take the spread because I think it's a regression game, but this is my close your eyes and just hit the over game of the week. I think for the Bills this year, you're going to be in pretty good shape. If you just take the over for everyone in the game, you'll probably end up positive. You'll probably end up winning. I think the Titans will score some points. The Bills are just, like you say, clearly the best team in the NFL. They came out making a statement against a good Rams team, the Super Bowl champions. That being said, a little bit of regression. I think this game is going to be a little bit tighter. The Titans are probably pissed off that of their last week's performance. That should have been an easy game for them there. So I think there's going to be points on both sides. The Bills are the Bills. They're going to put up. They're at risk to put up 40 every week themselves. So for that reason, I'm going to go with the over here. I think this over should have been 51 or 52, and it's not. So I'm gonna hit the over here.
Yeah, I mean the over is definitely in play. I totally agree. Honestly, this is not a game that I'm going to be betting. FYI, this is just a game where we have to make the picks because we're not going to not make
With
the
the
picks.
DGen podcast, every game, we ain't cherry picking. We're out here picking games because you know the DGens are picking every game, so we're picking.
Exactly. Like, I have a total disclaimer, by the way, to all the DGens out there. Wayne Wagyu has a 1-6, yes, that's correct, 16 team parlay this week. College football, NFL hybrid. And then we also dabbled another 14 team parlay because why the fuck not? So, with that being said, DGens, don't let anybody shame you. Bet the board. Bet the fucking board. Moving on to the last Monday night game. Vikings visiting the Eagles here. Vikings sitting at +2.5, +115 the money line. 50.5 is the total. Eagles -135. Is it fly, Eagles fly, or fly, Eagles die this week, Mikey?
This is my hands up. I don't understand a game of the week. I don't understand. Vikings money line. This is my super mortal lock. Listen, Justin Jefferson is going to catch 3,000 yards this year and 25 touchdowns. He's going to break every record.
Time out. What did I say in the beginning of the year? I said that he is going to win the MVP. I said that he's going to be the best fantasy player in the league this year. I picked the number one in one of my leagues at the first pick, and I picked him. And look what's happening.
You're looking good after 1 week. I know overreaction 1 week, but I don't think. Listen, the Vikings offense. I mean, they have Justin. They still feel they have Dalvin Cook. Madison is good. Kirk Cousins is a serviceable quarterback, even though he's a weirdo. What does scare me a little bit about this game is I'm just thinking about it now, and Kirk Cousins does not play well in prime time. He's the 1 o'clock. He's the 1 o'clock game game guy. I don't know what goes on with him, if he ties his socks too tight or he stubs his out there. I don't know what kind of juju's going on with him. But I'm still rolling with the Vikings. The Eagles played well last week, but they played the Lions. It was an absolute shootout, and they almost blew the game in the end. I just think the Vikings get it done here. I don't care that they're in Philadelphia. Obviously, stadium's ruckus, tough to play in. Great fans. I don't care what anyone says. I'm still rolling with the Vikings here. I think Kirk Cousins doesn't tie his socks too tight this week and gets it done. I think the Vikings are the play here.
Yeah, honestly, I wanted initially to take the Vikings just money line straight up, just as kind of a sprinkle play, not something so much that I feel 100% confident about, just because the Eagles obviously have the ability to put up huge points as well as the Vikings. Jalen Hurts actually is somebody who I really love as a fantasy play all season long, but this total at 50.5, I understand it still is a very high total, but 50.5, look what happened last week with, the Eagles versus the Lions. Look how many points it put up, right? This Vikings team is it is a better offensive team than the Lions. The Eagles are going to put up the points no matter who they play, in my opinion. And I think the 50.5 is actually a smash play, and I'm locking up 50.5, believe it or not. I do really, really like the total, because even though it's not a total where you're like, the Vegas is giving me some extra points here. This is a pretty spot on number if you were to make the line really anywhere. Yeah. And I don't even think the line's really moved that much on the total so far at 50.5, but I really, really like this play, and I'm locking it up. So those are our picks, everybody. All right. Hopefully this week we have more success than last week. I can't take
that beat last week. The Panthers. I will loosely. I was literally watching that game in a bar, just staring at the TV. Everyone around me was like, "Oh my god, you see that kick?" And everybody knows as a DGen, when you get a bad beat like that, you don't want anyone to talk to you, look at you, smell you, be 10 feet close to you. And I was in the middle of a fucking bar, and it was just brutal. So terrible.
I feel your pain. I had the opportunity to clear profit. I think it was just over $1,000 this past week, and the Broncos did not ride.
They did not
ride. So I lost. But we're moving on. DraftKings, Mike. Personally, my favorite part of the podcast, slowly but surely. I'm really liking this. Just because it's less juice, higher ceiling.
Yeah.
So the potential to win $1 million. We're doing the $1 Million Maker DraftKings favorite lineups of the week. Matt Stafford. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Perfect smash spot for him. He's coming back. He's going to be playing a very shitty Falcons team. How can you not play him this week? I know ownership is probably going to be high on him, but you got to pick the number one QB on the board, and sitting at $6,300 DraftKings salary, it's just too juicy not to take. Saquon Barkley, I understand, also going to come in high ownership, but Saquon's back, like we said. He is going to roll this week against possibly the worst run defense in the league currently in the Giants. So look for that. Joe Mixon, like I said, also is going to have a good week this week against Dallas. I think they're really going to try to get the run game going. He's a 3-down back now officially. He's catching balls on third down. Running a lot of routes. I really almost wanted to go Fournette in this spot, but because of the lack of receivers now, it looks like the Bucs are going to have. I think it's going to be a lot easier to stop him, even though he'll get more volume. But so for that reason, that's why I went Mixon. Jerry Jeudy is my wide receiver. I think clearly we saw, not just with the Seahawks, but now with the Broncos, Russell Wilson loves the slot receivers. He loves the quick routes. He loves the tight ends. Albert O would also have been another great tight end this week. But Jerry Jeudy clearly is number one target week 1. I think that translates into week 2. And I think that he has a standout game. Next, Michael Pittman for the Colts. Had a great week last week. I think he does it again now that I guess Paris Campbell is technically the number 2 wide receiver, but their third option, Alec Pierce, rookie, is out this week.
Yeah.
That just gives him even more targets. I think my stacking option here is Stafford with Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson, only 2 targets last week, Mike, but he was on the field for 95% of the snaps. That tells me that he is a huge part of this offense. He just didn't get the touches last week. And Sean McVay said openly, we need to get him more involved in the offense. And for that reason this week, especially against a shitty Falcons team, I think that he might be the highest scoring wide receiver on the slate. Bold prediction, but bold predictions win you $1 million in DraftKings. Tight end is an absolute fucking wash in my thing because I went so heavy on everybody else. I took the starting tight end for the Giants. Last name Bellinger, $2,500. If he catches like 2 or 3 balls, fucking money well spent. Flex, going Terry McLaurin. Scary Terry here. I think, he had a decent week last week. He was outperformed a little bit by Curtis Samuel and the rookie Jahan Dotson. I think this week he gets a lot more plays, a lot more looks, especially after look what A.J. Brown, similar wide receiver, did last week against this team. I think that McLaurin has a day for himself. And I'm finishing with the Cincinnati Bengals. No Dak. Zeke is washed up. Wide receiving core just isn't there. Got CeeDee Lamb, but he has no one to throw it to him. Cooper Rush ain't doing it. Bengals defense. What do you got, Mike?
Yeah, no, I really like that lineup. Great lineup. We have some similarities in our lineup. So I think we're kind of thinking the same way. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing in DraftKings necessarily, but we'll see. So quarterback, I'm rolling with Derek Carr. I rolled with him last week. Didn't play great. I think he has a good week this week. I think he's going to be a top 5 performer this week. So rolling with Derek Carr, quarterback for $6,200. Running back Saquon, we already talked about it. This is going to be a trendy pick this week, but it's the right pick. So I think you need to have Saquon in your lineup this week to have a shot to make some money. My RB2 is going to be Josh Jacobs this week. So I'm stacking Derek Carr and Josh Jacobs. I think he's he's going to have a good week this week. I think he's due for 15 touches, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 receptions for 28 yards. That's what I'm seeing from him this week. I know he doesn't really catch the ball in the backfield, but something about this week it just screams to me that he's going to have a big day. Wide receivers, I'm going Michael Thomas at $5,800. I think that's a steal. I think he showed last week that he's definitely still probably a top 15 wide receiver, if not a top 10 wide receiver in the league. He's missed a lot of time, but he has Jameis who loves to throw the ball down the field. So I think that duo this year is going to be really dynamic if he can stay healthy. I really like Michael Thomas this week. My wide receiver 2, we already talked about him, Jerry Jeudy. I was high on him last week. I'm high on him again this week. He's still 50. I think he's still too cheap, honestly. 5,600 is a little low for him. I think he should be around 6,000. But I think Russell Wilson, he has Cortland Sutton as well, but I think Jerry Jeudy is going to emerge for Russell Wilson as a clear number 1 as the season goes, and I think another step forward is this week. So I think he has a big week this week. Wide receiver 3 is Curtis Samuel. I know you just talked about Terry McLaurin. Curtis Samuel, I think, surprised a lot of people last week. Coming over from the Panthers, he had an okay career there, but now he's in a different situation. So just sometimes a new situation, even if it's a shitty situation, is what a wide receiver needs to kind of get going. I think Terry obviously is a wide receiver 1, but Curtis Samuel is a wide receiver 3. He's like 4,600. That's really, really cheap. So if you're looking for a cheap option at that spot, go with Curtis Samuel. I'm rolling with him this week. Tight end, like you said, is a fucking crapshoot this week. I hate the disparity in the tight ends. They have those top 3 or 4 tight ends that are a ton of money.
Don't get me started. I know.
It's just like a shit show. You almost have to pick the diamond in the rough here. I'm going to go with Evan Ingram this week. He had a decent week last week. I think he's good for like 4 catches for 28 yards and a touchdown. I think jump ball, fade in the back of the end zone. I think he's good for that. So that's all I'm really asking for my tight end week to week in DraftKings. So I'm rolling with Evan Ingram this week, saving some money, 3,600. My flex this week, CMC, 8,900. Expensive. Listen, he's expensive.
Woo! It's like a Rolls Royce expensive. Yeah.
Here's my thought process. He survived last week. He's not dead. He's healthy. And that's all that really matters. I think people get caught up, and he is the most dynamic fantasy running back in the league. I know we talked a lot about Saquon. CMC has the opportunity to go for 15 and for 120 yards running, a touchdown, and then like 9 catches for like 87 yards and 2 touchdowns receiving. Like, he has that in him. I'm taking a risk. I think it might be this week, so I'm going to go with him in my flex. And then defense, we're aligned here. The Bengals, I'm fading the Cowboys. No Dak for all the reasons you said. Their defenses are really cheap, so 2,200. The Bengals is my play this week, and that's my lineup.
Yeah, I think the Bengals are going to come in with high ownership just based on how cheap they are and the matchup they have. But that's the play this week. One other note that we didn't mention, this is somebody that we left clearly both out of our lineups, but I think is also going to be a smash play. I wanted to work him in, but he was just too fucking expensive. Davante Adams.
Yeah.
All right. Davante Adams is going to absolutely eat this week, and we both know why. We talked about it.
Yeah, grandparents.
First time ever his grandparents, all right, have ever seen him play professional football. Ever. He's been in the league for a little while now. And if I could ever think of a reason to get up for this game, it's that. Davante Adams is going to destroy the Cardinals secondary this week. And for that reason, now I'm locking up -5 Raiders. Give it to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Ding, 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 ding,
Ding, ding, ding, ding.
Let's go, baby.
We got to get a bell.
-5. Woo!
Love it.
All right, Mikey. Good podcast in the books. What do you got going on the rest of the day today? Anything good? You watching college football or?
Probably catch a little college football. Honestly, it's because like the bitch move. I need to catch up on some errands. So, gonna get my life squared away here. Still in kind of a new place. You can probably hear the echo. Got to get this place kind of unpacked all the way and do that fucking bullshit so I can have a good Sunday and watch football. So maybe take the dogs to the park, do a little errands, do a little grown up shit, and then be ready for tomorrow.
Let's go. Yeah, I'm just finishing up here in New Hampshire. The wife is doing hair today for a wedding. So after that, commuting back to Boston, getting some rest, and same thing, getting ready for tomorrow. Big day. So till then, everybody, we appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff on whatever platform it is you use us on. And let's not forget our sponsors, right?
Yes, sir.
We are sponsored by Sunday Swagger. Use that promo code DGEN15 to get 15% off at sundayswagger.com. Also, Bully Boy Distillery, everybody. I'm telling you what, do not sleep on their fall line of new drinks that they are putting out at the Cocktail Garden. It is. Are you an espresso martini guy, by the way, Mikey? I
fuck with it. Funny story. On a cruise I went on last year, I got absolutely blacked out to espresso martinis one of the nights on a cruise. So I can fuck with this espresso martini.
This might be the perfect opportunity to run it back then, because their espresso martini is definitely worth the taste. It is unbelievable. But, guys, that's it. Week 2 in the books, NFL, DGen Podcast. We are out.
Later.